besides the Israeli election. Just hours ago in Washington, the Trump administration officially designated Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps as a foreign terrorist organization. Here's Secretary of State Mike Pompeo.
For 40 years, the Islamic Republic's Revolutionary Guard Corps has actively engaged in terrorism and created, supported, and directed other terrorist groups. The IRGC masquerades as a legitimate military organization, but none of us should be fooled. It regularly violates the laws of armed conflict. It plans, organizes, and executes terror campaigns all around the world. From the moment it was founded, the IRGC's mandate was to defend and export the regime's revolution by whatever means possible.
No surprise that move drawing fire from Iran's Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif in a tweet blaming Israeli influence. He writes, Netanyahu firsters have long agitated for FTO designation. In fact, they seek to drag the U.S. into a quagmire on his behalf. And soon after, Iranian state TV reporting that the country has designated American forces in the Middle East as terrorists. Our senior Washington correspondent, Dan Raviv, back with us from there. Dan, this is the first time the U.S. has designated part of a foreign government as a terror group. Clearly, it's high on the symbolism. Practically, what is this going to mean?
Oh, well, when any group is designated as a terrorist organization, it then becomes illegal to do business with that organization, to sell it any goods, any products. And that would even cover European and Asian companies that might supply things to Iran, which are meant for the Revolutionary Guard Corps. Iran, I suppose, would have to relabel the shipments and order it to the Defense Ministry and then give it to the IRGC. But certainly it's a strong symbol, and the Trump administration is proud to have done this. There's an angle here that doesn't touch on Israel, because U.S. military officials blame the IRGC for more than 600 deaths of U.S. soldiers in Iraq. They say a lot of the roadside bombs and other killings were actually laid by the IRGC and its agents from Iran. And so at least in the U.S. military, there's been a hope for years that the U.S. government would openly take a stand against the Revolutionary Guard Corps and the Quds Force. By the way, the IRGC has been very active in Syria as well, propping up Syria's government. Nurit and Kalev.
And indeed, as we heard, Dan, Iran striking back in a sense, designating U.S. troops in the region as terrorists. The head of the IRGC even threatening, saying those troops will no longer know a sense of calm in the region. You mentioned Syria. Iran also active in Iraq, where there are many U.S. troops. So there is the potential here for Iran to really make it uncomfortable, at least, for U.S. forces in the region.
If Iran wants to make it a hot war or just a quiet, simmering war of words. The Trump administration, as always, talks tough and says that if Iran wants to get into a fight, America will definitely win. But there's a message here, of course, to America's allies, the Gulf Arabs, that the U.S. is on their side very firmly against Iran. President Trump, for instance, wants to continue military aid to Saudi Arabia in the civil war in Yemen. That's what Congress has tried to cut off. Trump is trying to avoid, frankly, veto the congressional bill that sought to cut off that aid to the Saudis. And Trump says it's all about Iran. Kalev and Nurit.